It's been more than 30 years since Lauren Jackson has gone missing.
She's the 5-year-old girl who seemingly vanished from her home in Chester County. It's an unsolved case that's kept investigators searching for decades now.
In our Unsolved in PA series, CBS 21's Jessica Babb shows us how her father is still holding on to hope.
I can't believe it's all these years.
34 years later, it's a case without closure.
You just realize what you lost. I lost a lot. This kid lost a lot.
5-year-old Lauren Jackson missing out on memories and a life she could have lived.
She was just a sweet kid.
In rural East Vincent Township, just 8 days after little Lauren's 5th birthday on October 4th, 1988.
I remember it was a very cold, drizzly night.
She was playing outside with a friend at the Park Spring Apartments, digging in the dirt outside her home.
Mother went in the house to do something, came back out again, and couldn't find her.
That was the last time she was ever seen, disappearing without a trace.
It struck me as this was different.
James Cody was a sergeant with East Vincent Police at the time and responded right away.
Everybody was frantic. The neighbors were outside. No one could locate her. So it was right in your face. She's not here.
So police started searching.
Man trackers were there with bloodhounds.
For weeks, rescue crews, multiple police agencies, the FBI, and community members helped.
The whole place here was just filled with people.
They were looking in wooded areas, even diving in nearby ponds.
Even had state police stopping vehicles along the major route.
Investigators say after searching the area, they didn't find Lauren or any of her things, but they say they believe they found a trail tracking her from this apartment complex to the major highway right down the street, Route 724.
But from there, she was nowhere to be found.
It was 3 weeks later to the day. I was on the phone with Dave Rector, the FBI agent that was in charge, and he said to me, "We're no closer to finding her than the moment it happened. It's like she vanished."
As the investigation continued, police looked into leads, even getting support from a psychic. Then, months later, a big break.
I was like on pins and needles every day, thinking we were going to get to the bottom of it.
A witness who'd been scared to speak up before says she saw Lauren and her mom, Christina O'Donnell, at a nearby strip mall just minutes from their apartment.
She said that she saw a lady matching the description of the mother, Christina, try to force a child matching the description of Lauren, little girl, into the back of a car. And the little girl was yelling, "No, mommy, no, no, mommy, no."
The witness saying she saw her give Lauren to an older couple.
You have to think, wow, okay, there it is, right? It makes all the sense in the world.
That's when the investigation shifted.
Christina she was a nice lady, but she didn't fit the pattern or description or mold of someone who had such a loss.
About a month before Lauren went missing, in September, O'Donnell was arrested. Court records show she admitted to making phony calls, posing as a doctor to get prescription meds.
We had broken up in September of '87.
Michael Jackson, Lauren's father, says he and O'Donnell had a rocky relationship and says he wanted full custody of Lauren. Even the day she disappeared, he felt like something was off.
She was standing outside the apartment, and I think I was standing a couple hundred feet away, and I'm hollering to her, like waving, like, come on over, let's talk. She ignored me.
Cody says after the witness came forward, he was ready to arrest O'Donnell, but says the Chester County DA's office dissuaded him from doing it. He says he was told there was a discrepancy with the time in the witness's statement.
She didn't call every day. Father, 34 years later, is still calling me.
I'm just frustrated. It's like it feels like it happened every day. You wake up, you don't feel like your arm was cut off.
From there, not much happened. The couple Lauren may have been given to, or the car she may have been put in, were never found.
We just didn't sit there, we did everything we could do, exhausted every lead we had.
O'Donnell died about a decade ago.
And he felt all along that law enforcement didn't do a sufficient job. Yeah, and I got to tell you, I'm disappointed also.
Do you feel like there were parts of the investigation that fell through the cracks?
On a number of levels.
Cody left the East Vincent Police Department 3 years after the disappearance, and since then, there's been little information. They only told us they're actively investigating.
If it's an active investigation, okay, then what are you doing about it?
Our right to know request for the case files, denied.
Just give us the files. Let us scour them. We might come up with something that was missed. My biggest thing is they made the mistake in not pursuing when that woman said that she was handed over.
Leaving Lauren's father asking for answers.
30 years later, What would it mean to you to get some of these answers?
I mean, a lot. To know that they're trying to do something, but I'm not going to give up.
This is what Lauren might look like now at 38 years old. The National Center for Missing and Exploited Children says they've been getting leads over the years. The FBI, who did a large part of the investigation, say they continue to follow up on the case. We did also reach out to the Chester County DA's office, but haven't heard back. But if you know anything, please call the East Vincent Police Department. For CBS 21, I'm Jessica Babb.
A woman vanishes after a double homicide and fire. Her remains discovered months later, 1,000 miles away.
Her friend and roommate left searching for answers. What happened to Jasmine Forbes? CBS 21's Candace Scalise brings us tonight's Unsolved in PA.
This is where the home at 132 Neal Road once stood. A February fire consumed that home and it was torn down. But not before investigators discovered a violent crime. Did a love triangle lead to murder? And what happened to Jasmine Forbes?
It's February 23rd, 2022, and the home at 132 Neal Road is up in flames.
I went to work that night and I just had a bad feeling. Around 6:15 in the morning, Manny called me and said that the house was on fire.
By the time Katie Johnson got home, it was too late.
I had to walk to my house because my whole road was blocked off with fire trucks and the police.
She stood watching the fire. Her 3 roommates nowhere to be found.
I just kept screaming at them, telling them to get them out of the house because where else would they be?
As firefighters began fighting the fire, not soon after that, they discovered that there was someone that appeared to be deceased right inside in the living room. They also discovered that in the driveway of this residence was a car, and inside that car was a second body.
Police believe the 2 men were shot before the house was set on fire. When the fire marshal got to the scene that morning, I'm told he found a gun lying in this field. He believes the fire started with some kind of accelerant, possibly gasoline. This fire investigation quickly turned into a double homicide investigation, and then it escalated into a missing person case.
Police say Frankie Thomas and his nephew Eddie Shaw were killed. Their roommate, Jasmine Forbes, was missing.
Witnesses were telling us that there may have been threats prior to this homicide, so we were checking out cell phone records to see if there were threats.
According to the affidavit, Forbes received text messages before the fire from a man named Larry Burns. One witness in the affidavit saying Burns was obsessed with Forbes. And according to investigators, another said they received Facebook messages from Burns mentioning $50,000 and threats against Thomas if, quote, Jasmine Forbes is not returned to him.
In West Virginia, we were able to obtain some footage from a gas station that seems to indicate that Jasmine Forbes was there, as well as Larry Burns.
And was that the last time that she was seen alive?
And that was the last time that we were able to have physical put eyes on her.
On June 14th, 4 months after the fire, Jasmine Forbes' body was found in Pasco County, Florida. Her death ruled a homicide. Investigators at the Pasco County Sheriff's Office are handling Forbes' case, but as of today, no arrest has been made.
What do you want people to remember about Jasmine?
She was more than just beautiful on the outside. She had such a beautiful soul, and she connected with people on a different level.
So you had somebody who you knew you could count on, kind of for the first time in your life, it sounds like, in a real way.
When I needed them the most.
When you needed them the most.
Larry Burns is locked up, along with his nephew Cordero Burns. They're charged with double homicide and arson in the deaths of Frankie Thomas and Eddie Shaw.
Our intention to seek the death penalty, and they await trial.
Neither has been charged in relation to Jasmine Forbes' disappearance or death.
It just sucks. It's terrible. I hope that they find out what happened to Jasmine.
As for a motive in the double homicide arson case, the DA says this investigation is far from over and that will come out in court. Katie Johnson tells me when her home burnt down, she lost everything, including her 3 closest friends. She knows that an arrest won't bring Jasmine back, but she hopes it will help her move forward. Reporting in Shippensburg, I'm Candace Scalise, CBS 21 News.
20 years later, Lancaster police are still trying to figure out who killed Victor Melendez. He was shot and killed on the 4th of July off Dolphin Street in Lancaster.
And the person or people behind it are nowhere to be found. Police are hoping DNA or anyone with information can help make a big break.
So it's this part of our Unsolved in PA report now, and CBS 21's Jessica Babb. She spoke with the family who's trying to hold on to hope.
This was when my son was born.
It's a story told in snapshots.
This is him and my daughter.
These photos of family and fun.
Mostly everybody just liked his energy. He was a DJ.
There are moments in time Victor Melendez's family doesn't forget.
Shorty was an outgoing, lovable type of guy.
The 29-year-old, known by his nickname, Shorty.
Because he is short.
But 2 decades later, these pictures only tell part of his story.
You don't really ever get over it, and you know, he's always there in the back of your mind.
His final chapter unfinished, as the search for his killer continues.
We want to hold whoever was responsible accountable.
Early in the morning, around 3 a.m. on July 4th, 2002.
It was a nice night, and a lot of people were out in the city.
Hours before, Victor and his wife, Christina, were spending time with family.
So I left his mom's house. I just told him if he needs a ride to call me and I'll come pick him up. But the call that I received was not that call. It was a call from his sister saying that he was shot.
He was out hanging out with friends. There were a lot of people on their porches.
That's when police say a car, believed to be a purple or burgundy 4-door sedan with paint chipping off the trunk, rolled in.
This is alley 17. This is the alley where the shooting happens.
So the vehicle was driving that way, Shorty was in this area, and the vehicle turned and went down that way?
Yes, they had asked for him by nickname.
After walking over to the car and having a conversation with someone inside, police say Melendez was shot once in the neck.
By the time people got over to him, he was beyond help.
Instead of a happy holiday celebrating their daughter's birthday, it was a nightmare they never expected.
I don't even feel like that I even cried or something, because I just felt like this, you can't really believe something like that.
Police say after shooting Victor Melendez, the people in the car sped away, driving down this alley. But as you can see, this spot is out of sight from most people who might have been outside along Dolphin Street, with only a few neighbors having a direct view. Police say after talking to witnesses, they believe 3 men in their late teens or 20s at the time were in the car. They asked for him by name, so how did they know he was going to be in this area at that time?
That's what we don't know.
Who they are and their motive is also a mystery.
But through the years, we've worked on different leads that have come up, and unfortunately to this point, we still haven't developed a suspect.
Do you have any idea who those people may have been or any suspicion?
No, I don't have any idea or any suspicions. My feeling on that is I think he probably knew one or all of them.
Police haven't found the car or the gun.
There was some ballistic evidence that wasn't real helpful.
And when it comes to other clues,
he was carrying a shirt over his shoulder. What we're trying to determine is, did the suspects have any contact with his clothing?
So far, DNA tests haven't helped, but they're hoping one day it does.
That eventually the technology gets better.
Until then,
we're still hoping that somebody comes forward.
And I'm hoping that obviously they solve the case, the person or the persons that did it. I don't want them to think that they got away with it.
Giving her closure on the end of a story that's been left unwritten.
The hardest part is basically my kids growing up without a dad.
How do you want him to be remembered?
I just want him to be remembered, for who he was, not how he died, just that he was a good person.
If you have any information about what happened, you can call Crime Stoppers or Lancaster Police. In Lancaster, Jessica Babb, CBS 21 News.